What if I told you that the world's richest billionaires live in mansions, they fly on private jets, and they spend millions on art, yachts, and political donations, yet legally they report almost no taxable income? Warren Buffett himself once admitted he pays a lower tax rate than his secretary. Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, and countless others, well, they pull the same trick. And no, it's not magic, it's a loophole with a name, and it's called buy, borrow, die. And once you see how it works, well, you'll never look at the wealthy the same way again. Now, this isn't a shady scam, it's the single most powerful legal wealth strategy in the world. And it explains why billionaires don't care about their income tax rate, because they've designed their financial lives so most of their money never shows up as income at all. And stick around, because in the second half of this video, I'm going to reveal how this loophole could affect you, even if you're not a billionaire. Plus, what politicians are quietly saying about whether it should finally be closed. But, as always, just before we take a deep dive, it's imperative you hit that like button and subscribe so that you get notified the minute we produce another game-changing video that affects your finances. I promise you will appreciate it. So buckle up and let's plunge straight in. So while we're at it, let's dig into buy, borrow, die. Now, the system runs on 3 different steps, simple enough to fit on a napkin, but powerful enough to reshape global wealth. So step 1 is the obvious one, it's buy. Now, billionaires don't just stash their wealth in cash, they buy appreciating assets like stocks, real estate, businesses, even artwork. Now, these assets grow in value year after year, but as long as they don't sell them, well, there's no taxable income. Step 2 in the strategy is to borrow. When they need cash, they don't sell the asset and trigger taxes. What they do is they use it as collateral for loans. You need 50 million to buy a mansion? No problem. Pledge some Tesla stock or some Apple shares, and a bank will hand it over at rock bottom interest rates. That borrowed money is not considered income, it's just a loan. So therefore, as you know, no taxes are owed. And finally, on to step 3, which is die. Now, when they pass away, their heirs inherit their assets, but thanks to something called the step up in basis, well, the unrealized gains are wiped clean for tax purposes. So generational wealth passes on and the tax bill suddenly disappears. Buy, borrow, die, rinse and repeat. Now let's make this real. Jeff Bezos, for instance, has billions tied up in Amazon stock. Now, if he sells shares, well, the IRS takes a huge cut. But by borrowing against these shares, well, he can buy mansions, fund Blue Origin rockets, and still show minimal taxable income. Elon Musk did the very same thing, borrowing billions against Tesla stock to finance his lifestyle and ventures. Warren Buffett, once celebrated for his modesty, openly admits this system is why his tax rate looks laughable compared to his middle class workers. He doesn't sell Berkshire Hathaway stock, he holds on to it and it grows. He borrows when needed. He dies and the tax bill vanishes. And this isn't limited just to billionaires. Many multimillionaires do the same with real estate. They buy apartment complexes, they borrow against them to fund new projects, and then they write off the interest as a deduction. And when they die, well, the next generation inherits at market value with little or no tax due. And just wait until I tell you about how entire family dynasties, like the Waltons of Walmart fame, how they use this loophole to ensure their wealth barely gets touched for generations. Now, here's why buy, borrow, die is nearly unbreakable. First, US tax law only taxes realized income. Gains that live on paper, like an increase in stock value, are invisible until you sell. Second, borrowing is tax-free. The IRS doesn't count loans as income. And third, inheritance rules allow for the step up in basis, resetting an asset's value to what it's worth at the time of death. Now, that wipes out decades of taxable growth in a single stroke. Just think about it like this: you work a job, you get paid, and taxes are taken out instantly. A billionaire buys stocks, watches them soar, borrows cash against them, and pays almost nothing in tax. Same dollars, totally different tax realities. Now, this loophole is why the US Treasury literally loses billions in potential tax revenue every single year. Now, according to ProPublica, the top 25 richest Americans paid a true tax rate of just 3.4% between 2014 and 2018. That was far less than most middle class families, and yet it's all perfectly legal. Meanwhile, the rest of us make a mistake on a tax return and we risk audits or penalties. The system was never designed for workers, it was built for owners, people who can let wealth sit in assets and never convert it into income. So documents like the Panama Papers and the Pandora Papers didn't just show offshore accounts. They revealed families using buy, borrow, die strategies worldwide, moving assets offshore and then borrowing against them so nothing ever hit the tax radar. So, could this loophole ever close? Well, politicians have floated ideas like a billionaire tax, which would tax unrealized gains, or ending the step up in basis. But every time pushback from wealthy donors, lobbyists, and corporations, well, that kills the idea before it becomes law. Why? Because the people who benefit most from buy, borrow, die are exactly the same people that fund political campaigns. So don't hold your breath waiting for reform, because as long as borrowing stays tax-free and inheritance rules reset asset values, well, this system will continue, and ordinary taxpayers will shoulder the burden. So here's why this matters for you. Now, you might be thinking, hold on a minute, I'm not a billionaire. Why should I care? But here's the truth. This loophole is a blueprint. You may not have stock in Tesla, but you might have real estate, a 401k, or investments that grow in value. Learning how to use debt strategically, borrowing against assets instead of selling them, well, that can reduce your taxes and increase your long-term wealth. Now, I'm not saying everyone should run out and copy billionaires, but understanding the rules of buy, borrow, die lets you see exactly how the game is played, and then you can decide how to adapt your own strategy. So there you have it, the billionaire loophole called buy, borrow, die, a system so powerful it allows the richest people on earth to spend billions, pay pennies in tax, and pass it all on to the next generation. Now, which part shocked you the most? That borrowing billions can be totally tax-free? That inheritance wipes out decades of gains? Or that the government keeps pretending it can't stop this? Do me a favor and drop your thoughts in the comments below. And also, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe so you never miss another video exposing the financial secrets that the rich don't want you to know. And by the way, if you haven't yet, go back and watch my video on offshore banking. It's the perfect prequel to this video. So you'll see how the global money system ties it all together. And in the meantime, have a wonderful day, my friends, and I'll see you on the next one.